talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about how we be ballin', playing with the Wizards. Let's talk about the Nats and how they always got good pitchers. Let's talk about the cats who rest can turn them boys to winners. Injuries and updates, oh yeah. To the opponent, we can toe to toe, yeah. To the top, this podcast gonna go, yeah. I think it's something you should know, yeah.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry, and with me, as always, it's the Stoner.
What's up, man? I love that song. I love that our opening song. I jam to it every time.
We do need to make a minor change. You might not see him right now. He is currently broadcasting on the Football Garbage Time, but Trev will be joining us here in a little bit, so he'll pop on. We need to get his name added to it because it's such a fun song. So
yeah, we'll get that.
We'll work on that because we love our boy Trev. And like I said, he will be joining us here in a little bit. We'll introduce him when he does drop in. But let's talk about why we're broadcasting on a Monday of all things. And that's because, as you can see down here on our little live ticker, this is our special 53-man roster breakdown. But more importantly, this is the WFTPods 53-man projection show. And so what you're going to see here is we got as many as we could as there were position groups and content creators across Washington football team. They're gracious enough to join us, and so they created some content that we're going to share and then kind of discuss as we go along. All we did was we provided the numbers that they were allowed to pick, and then they provided their input for it. So really excited to have all the pods. We're going to give them shout outs as they go along. I have not actually seen the videos. And I think you, Stoner, you only watched them long enough to kind of make sure the audio was good. And so we should have some pretty exciting things here. I want to give a special shout out to LE from Washington football team Declassified. This was an idea that he floated by us, and we loved it. And so we reached out and got everybody on here. You'll see LE in a little bit. Anything you want to say, Stoner, about the show before we get rolling?
Yeah, so the history that you just provided was great. That Ellie said, hey, can you guys, here's an idea. What do you guys think of it? And we just ran with it, and all these other pods jumped in with us. But what was really, really kind of funny about this whole thing is that we came up with the breakdown of each position group. So we have a 53-man roster. So we assigned, for example, 3 running backs to Rio in Rambling About Washington. And he's like, well, if I'm running the team, I'm having 4 running backs, not 3. And then you had other people like the wide receivers. I gave them 7, or we gave them 7. And we said one of them has to be the punt returner. And they're like, well, I only need 6 for that. But sorry, that's just the way it's going to break down for you. So some of them were restricted in what they could actually put together in their team, but they wouldn't normally do that if they were putting together the team. So that's the fun part of it, right? It's obviously we're not all going to be right, but it's just kind of fun to see what other pods are thinking about these different position groups.
It is, and I highly encourage you, if you're a fan of Ref the District, to check out these shows as we name them, because they do each have, or at least most of them, have their own 53-man roster, so you can check out their input on the full roster as they see it fit. I mentioned our Declassified friends, LE. They picked our wide receiver group, so 7 wide receivers, and we said 1 must be the punt returner. So let's check out LE from Washington football team Declassified to see what he has to say about the wide receivers for Washington.
What up, y'all? This is LE from the WFT Declassified podcast, and I'm going to bring you my prediction for the wide receivers for the 53-man roster. Shout out to Ref the District. This is for their show. I hope everything with this is lovely. So check it out. They said we got to keep 7. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm going to do what they asked, right? So if we think about the 4 safe receivers, I'm going to say Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, obviously the draft pick, Curtis Samuel, safe. Come on, he ain't going anywhere. And Cam Sims. As much as I don't want to agree with Cam Sims being safe, I believe he's safe. He didn't play in the last preseason game. It is what it is. Let's see what production we can get out of him. So then we start getting to an interesting scenario where you really have 3 spots for a lot of dudes, right? So you got Adam Humphries, you got Isaiah Wright, DeAndre Carter, Dax Milne, You got Tony Brown, AGG, and DeAndre Carter. So for me, the fifth receiver on here is Adam Humphrey. Again, one of those guys where I think maybe you can go a little younger, do a little bit better, but he has a relationship with Fitzpatrick. And since Fitzpatrick's our starter, I'm going to try to make him comfortable. We're going to keep Humphrey, right? Then I think we're going to keep AGG. He was a draft pick by the coaches last year. They're giving him every opportunity to succeed, excuse me. So why abandon that now? I think he's going to be on the roster, and I think we're going to see him develop a little bit this year. We'll see what happens. My last spot, this is my punt returner. He might sub in as kick returner if Patterson doesn't do it. I'm going to go with Dax Milne. I like what I saw from him during the preseason.
Nice.
He has a little wiggle to his game. He goes forward on punt returns. That's all I can ask for from a seventh receiver. So, ref the district. There it is. That's my prediction. 7 receivers strong. We're going to get it done this year. Peace.
All right. So again, that was LE from Washington Football Team Declassified. And as you were watching us, so this, as you're watching us, you might have seen Trevor pop up. We promised he would be here, and he's here. And you didn't really miss much of the action as you came in during the first view, which is our wide receiver group from Declassified. And you came in during the part where it was the givens. And you saw the spicy part there at the end. Your boy Dax was LE's choice for the 7th receiver.
Can I just say that LE's crazy? No way. I'm just saying. No way they're keeping Milne.
I got Milne. Why not? They keep Milne. Surprise cut Cam Sims, like I said last night.
See, he even guaranteed Cam Sims was a lock.
I know, but he said he didn't agree with it. But he said just because he doesn't play, he thinks he's safe. So LE is kind of with me on the not agreeing part, at least. So get rid of Cam Sims, bring in Dax, and bring on DeAndre Carter to return your punts. You'll be fine.
So, all right. So, okay. So you've got Cam Sims out, and you've got DeAndre Carter in to return punts.
Yes, pretty much.
I mean, I don't have Dax Milne returning punts. There's no way.
He looked good. He looked good when he was back there.
There's no way that I'm going to have a rookie.
Why not?
Because he's a rookie, and he's caught like 3 punts in preseason game action. I don't know. I want somebody.
Punt returns of all preseason.
Well, maybe, but still.
It's a very low bar to set. I like Dax Milne. I would like to see him make the 53. I don't think he makes it. I think that he's on the practice squad. But I'm also not sold on DeAndre Carter making the team. So I definitely not agreeing with Trevor cutting Cam Sims as a surprise cut.
No way.
We'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. We're going to go burgundy and gold already on Trevor's. You can tell his new microphone hasn't come in yet. So we're tomorrow.
Did you have this in your other podcast? Did you have this issue in your other podcast?
No,
really.
It's always just with us.
That's
always with us. Well, we talked about the wide receivers. This is going to be a rather long show because we've got all these videos to go to. So I'm going to keep this moving as quickly as possible. But we talked about the wide receivers. Let's talk about who's throwing them the ball here. Okay. And this is going to be from our friends over on the DMV Sports 3. So Trey Z here with us with Ref the District, giving us the QBs.
All right. Trey Z of the DMV Sports 3 here. About to break down the quarterbacks. Shout out to Ref the District once again for an opportunity. And I appreciate the deference of letting the old man get probably the easiest position, the quarterback position. So, my prediction for the 3 quarterbacks for the Washington Football Team. Fitzmagic will start. But I believe that everybody saw the second preseason game. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Are we a part of the Heineke Howlers?
Technically, I feel like we really could have had a quarterback competition after seeing the performances of all 4 quarterbacks here on the Washington Football Team. My opinion. But Fitzmagic will be our starting quarterback against the Chargers. And then, quarterback number 2. Heineke, of course. Now, Heineke, I thought would probably, in the beginning of the year, would have been our quarterback number 3. Why? Because the infamous Kyle Allen was supposedly the one that knew all the plays and kind of was Ron's go-to, our Colt McCoy, if I may. But as you saw on the last preseason game when Kyle Allen got the start, Kyle Allen. Whoo, man.
Not good. Not good.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, our quarterback position might be detrimental going into the season. This is just real talk. But keeping the video tight and making sure that I'm under the guidelines, I'm going to say Fitzmagic 1, Heineke 2, and Kyle Allen. Why? Because Montez is just really more of an experiment, kind of like Reyes. He's just
man, we don't have to go after my guy.
If he was to have the quarterback for us, and thank God Heineke came in when he did to save Montez from really destroying his opportunity at the end of last year going into that playoff game. So those are my three. It was kind of easy. I mean, I think it was glaring, but honestly, on any given Sunday, as they say, these three quarterbacks that we have, not for Heineke's effort. Heineke got that spirit, and you know he's a different game. He has the feet that we all wanted Haskins to have. You know, Fitzmagic has the experience, and yes, we have seen him turn it on, but we've also seen him when it's off, and we're going to need every single game this year because, as you know, for whatever reason, Ron Rivera, and I know this is not the position that I should be talking about, but D-Hop is not going to help us with any field goals or any kind of
got to get that D-Hop in there.
The kicking game. It's just trash. But we're talking quarterbacks, and those are my three. Thanks again, Ref the District, DMV Sports 3 here, Trey Z, and don't forget, I'm always right.
He had to end it with that.
We need to end the show. Tracy, thanks for putting that together. That was DMV Sports 3. Great guys, great show. Definitely catch them. And he's right on the QBs, right? We know Montez was already cut. We had some obligations today, which is why we pushed it to 8:00.
Steven Montez.
Yeah.
That's clear.
Okay. Yeah. If Montez Sweat gets cut, then we all have.
You got to clear it up.
We have Jesse popping in on our chat here saying Kyle Allen getting cut.
Hey, it could happen.
Yeah, it could happen because they could bring in Kyle Oletta, who just got cut by the Browns, and take Kyle Allen's spot. Just saying.
Kyle Allen could go the way of Trevor's microphone and
get cut
and find his way getting cut. No, Kyle Allen getting cut is an actual real possibility because they could put him on the practice squad as well because you can have up to 6 veterans who have more than 2 years of experience on the practice squad. So that is a possibility, but that wasn't the task that Tracy had set before him. We gave him, hey, give us 3 quarterbacks because we feel that's how many quarterbacks are going to go into the regular season on the 53, largely because, as he talked about, Fitzpatrick can sometimes turn into tragic. And then Heineke has some health issues, despite the fact that a lot of people think that he's he's the starting quarterback. Kyle Allen, he mentioned it. He's Ron Rivera's Colt McCoy. He's going to be the guy. They traded a 5th round draft pick to secure him. They think that he could be a guy long term. But we'll see where he ends up.
But Kyle, the thing about the third quarterback is if you have him on your active roster, and then when you go to game day and you have to sit 5 guys or 6 guys, you can sit 5 guys and the 6th guy be your quarterback who can actually dress and be an emergency quarterback if your first 2 go down. So that's why I think they'll probably go with 3 quarterbacks because they have that rule so that they can have him there simply as an emergency guy. But, he very well could get cut. Who knows?
Just had to share this from Jesse. This is
Thanks,
true.
Jesse. It's coming tomorrow, bro. I
So
promise.
if you listen to the audio version, Jesse trashing Trev's mic as well. He does have a new one coming in.
Yeah, he ordered it yesterday live on the show yesterday.
I'm about to track it right now live on this show. So
well, while he's tracking his thing here, I want to talk about our next position group. We're going to stay with the offense, and it's going to be our boy Rio giving his running back predictions.
What's going on, Ref the District? It's your boy Rio from Rambling About Washington, and my position group for the 53 roster breakdown is the running back room. This is pretty simple. I imagine they're going to keep 4, but I was told I'm only keeping 3 on this roster, so I'm going to do what I would personally do, and I'm going to tell Peyton Barber, it's not your time here anymore. Give him the pink slip, and we're going to move on with Jared Patterson as running back 3 behind Gibson and McKissick. Like I said, realistically speaking, I think they keep all 4 of them. Antonio Gibson, McKissick, Barber, and Patterson, because I don't know if they're just going to go in with an undrafted guy as running back 3. But Gibson is a solidified RB1. He's going to go high in fantasy for a lot of people because I think we're going to throw the ball to him. He's going to get a lot of touches. McKissick is a lock, third down back. He's going to get all the check downs. Barber has no wiggle to him, but the team has this infatuation that he's like the greatest short yardage back in the history of the league. So
really
for that purpose only, like, we're going to probably keep him. And Patterson, although he's flashed in preseason, Patterson's hands are very inconsistent, and he's still got a long way to go. I like to see the upside. I like to see him on the roster and get some touches, but we should definitely pump the brakes on Crown. Like, I see people talking about, oh, he's going to take the job from Gibson. No, he's not. That's not even close. He's going to be a part of the running back room, but that's definitely not happening. We don't keep a fullback, so that's not even something that needs to be considered. But, yeah, this is pretty easy at the end of the day. I don't even need to spend 5 minutes on it. Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, Jared Patterson is my running back room. The running back room that I think that really is presented to us when the 53-man roster comes out is Gibson, McKissick, Barber, Patterson. And that's all for now. Shout out Ref the District. I got the video to y'all this time, so don't roast me. Hell to the name of the football team.
All right, thanks Rio for getting that in. This Rambling About Washington with Rio, and yes, we definitely roasted him. Yeah, we got burgundy and gold again, Trev. We definitely roasted him. We definitely roasted Rio for not getting in a fan video because he kept promising, and then finally we hit him up at the training camp fan day. And we got a little video of him promising and said if he didn't get it in, we can roast him on Twitter. So a lot of us had some fun with that. But thanks, Rio, for getting those in. And the running backs, I personally like Patterson over Barber as well. The hands are a concern. But what I think that where he shined was he was actually good in pass blocking, and they're okay putting him back there to return kicks. So maybe Rio's right. Maybe we gave him the wrong number. Maybe it's 4 running backs they're keeping. But if on our roster we said 3, are you happy with the 3 he picked?
Hey, how about this hot take? How about this hot take? How about you? Patterson had that terrible game, right? Against Baltimore. What about this? Game. They told him to go out there and play like garbage, so that the other teams would not be interested in him when they cut him. And they can re-sign him to the practice squad.
I think that's a garbage take.
Okay.
That's what I think it's a garbage take.
It was hot garbage take.
This fear of somebody taking our players off the practice squad is way overblown.
Yeah, I mean,
it could happen,
totally
though.
It could. It absolutely could happen. It's not going to happen.
He's not Eric Dickerson that they're sitting on the practice squad, okay? He's right now he's a pretty good guy
for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So Stoner. So that means Peyton Barber is getting cut, Stoner.
Well, if Rio's running the team, he only gets 3 running backs. But that was a last minute change when we were trying to construct the roster. I went originally I had 6 receivers and 4 running backs, and I switched and I said we should go 7 receivers so that they can have a punt returner. Because if you go 6 receivers, then AGG's getting cut too, because they have to have a punt returner, and it's either Carter or Milne at this point. So
DeAndre Carter,
right? So that's why I'm saying that AGG would get cut if there was only 6. So that's why I said they should have 7 receivers and only 3 running backs. That's what you're dealt. You have to deal. You have to do the best with the hand.
There's our rules, and we had to go with our rules. That's fair enough. Let's move on to our next position group, just to keep things moving along here. So this is our offensive line given to us by the Burgundy Zone.
Hello, everybody, and we are the Burgundy Zone. I am the host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host here, Mr. Hall.
What it do?
And we have a special 5-minute video here for you guys for the Washington Football Team Pods, the 53-man projection project presented by Ref the District that they are going to be having on their podcast. Ref the District you can find on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere that you're looking for podcasts. But we are looking into projecting the offensive line for the 53-man roster. So let's start with the left tackle, Hall. And who do you think is going to be that starting left tackle that shouldn't be a hard one to start with?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty much, he got signed to be the guy. He's come in since training camp, been the guy. We're going to go with Charles Leno Jr.
Absolutely. And Charles Leno, I know that Mike Silver had tweeted out last night, the night of the Baltimore Ravens game, that Charles Leno has gotten rave reviews from the Washington Football Team staff. So make no mistake, he is the starter at left tackle. Now, projecting the 53-man roster, who do you think would be the backup to Charles Leno there at left tackle, Hall?
It's going to be the guy that was stepped in last year, did a pretty decent job. He's going to be the swing guy, I think, and it's going to be Cornelius Lucas.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I've said this all offseason. I thought that the Washington Football Team staff loves him as a backup swing tackle they can bring in a pinch rather than a starter at either position. And we're starting to see that to fruition, so we definitely believe that Charles Leno and Cornelius Lucas will make the 53-man roster. So that's 2 offensive linemen thus far. Let's move to one more spot over to the right, the left guard spot. Who do you think is going to be the starter for left guard, Hall?
It's been a battle throughout camp, but as you see lately, one guy taking it over. I'm going to go with Eric Flowers as the week 1 starter.
Yeah, and I agree. The last couple of weeks, he's been starting these last preseason games, and we know Wes Schweitzer is very, very good, but it looks like Eric Flowers was brought in this offseason. He's taking control over that left guard starting spot. I really like that. Now, for that backup there, it's got to be Wes Schweitzer. But no one better. He's done a great job this offseason. They've used him in the second-team offense at right guard in the last preseason game against the Bengals, and he did a really good job of that from the film that I watched. So I think that Wes Schweitzer makes the 53 as the backup to left guard there. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out.
Yep, I agree with that.
Now let's move to the center position, and Chase Royer just got a contract extension in the offseason last year. 100% he's the starter for that center spot. Nobody else is good enough to really challenge him there. Guaranteed that he's there so far.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Look, the dude had a PFF rating. He was in the top 3, top 5, something like that in centers last year. So he's just cemented as the guy in the middle.
Yeah, he really is. And now I do think they'll keep a backup center, and that being Tyler Larson, who they brought from Carolina. He's coming over. He did a really good job. He's been playing as the second-team center. I do think that he'll be on the 53 for this squad, and he'll make that roster for the start of the season because you need a backup center. None of these other guys are really, I think, are capable of doing so at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, yeah, you got to go with Larson.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's move to our right guard. So far, that means we have 6. We're keeping Charles Leno Jr., Cornelius Lucas, Eric Flowers, Wes Schweitzer, Chase Royer, and Tyler Lawson. That's 6 altogether. So the right guard spot, Brandon Sheriff obviously is making the 53-man roster. Not much more we can say. He was a Pro Bowler last season, all-pro right guard. He's making this roster there. But the question is the backup position. Do you think that there's going to be somebody they're going to keep that right guard backup, Hall?
I do, and I'm going to go with Sadiq Charles. I think that obviously they drafted him last year. He had a bad rookie year due to injury. I think they're going to give him every opportunity to kind of work his way in, and if he steps in, I think he'll be capable.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly do believe that, and that I agree. Sadiq Charles also makes that 53-man roster, and he's going to be the backup there. But not only there, let's move over to the right tackle. It's Sam Cosmi. He's starting at right tackle. the beginning of the offseason, I didn't think that he was going to be capable of starting week 1 against Joey Bosa. But going against Montez Sweat and Chase Young is iron sharpens iron, baby. And Sam Cosmi looks ready. He's well built, and he is fit to go week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers. So he will be making the 53-man roster at that right tackle position. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, everyone was kind of shocked when Morgan Moses was cut. Pretty much just paved the way for Cosmi to step in and be that guy. So he'll be the day 1 starter.
Yep, and just like with right guard, we're both projecting that Sadiq Charles will be the backup at that right tackle there, which means it's 9 offensive linemen in total. Charles Lucas, Charles Leno, Cornelius Lucas, Eric Flowers, Wes Schweitzer, Chase Royer, Tyler Larson, Brandon Sheriff, Sadiq Charles, and Sam Cosmi. Now the guys that are missing out, David Sharp, I could see Wes Martin being retained as practice squad in case if anything happens dire to the guards. And then Keith Ishmael, John Toth, Bo Benchwall, and Rick Leonard, I believe, are not going to make this football team. And I do think Wes Martin will come back and be on the practice squad along with Keith Ishmael, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like you said, those are 2 guys that were drafted to this team. They're still young. They're still growing. So I definitely think that Ronald stashed them on the practice squad. I don't think you got to worry about them getting snatched up by another team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like you said, Wes Martin's a guy that stepped in last year, kind of played decently. So I definitely think in a limited role, he could probably be activated if need to be and do his thing.
Yeah, he started at left guard for the second team unit against the Bengals, and his run blocking was phenomenal. I was very, very impressed with Wes Martin. I do think that he has earned a spot on the practice squad to be retained. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to our Washington Football Team Pods 53-man projection project presented by Rep the District. This is the Burgundy Zone. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And we will see you guys later. Make sure you subscribe. Washington Football. Woo!
Peace.
All right, thanks to the gents there from Burgundy Zone. Kyle, I love your background.
It looks very familiar.
I'm definitely like his looks sharper than mine. I'll give him. I have to give him that. It definitely looks a little bit.
Why does it
maybe
look
it's because
sharper?
mine? Well, mine's a fake wood. I think his is a legit wood wood background. So mine's literally a sheet hanging up.
Yeah.
But design choices aside, I was really shocked by them keeping Larson as a backup center over someone like Wes Martin, who I think is really someone who I think they would want on the team, because I feel like the backup center is not somebody who you necessarily need. You can move one of the guards to the inside to potentially do that. Sadiq Charles also at guard, although he's seen a lot of play time on the tackle position, but he is somebody who I feel the team feels they can move inside as needed. So I definitely didn't envy those guys picking out the linebacker or the offensive line, because I mean, you saw it happen, right? They picked 2 left tackles, 2 left guards, 2 centers, and then they only have 3 people left after that. So,
well, I think Schweitzer, he can play both sides.
Yeah,
he can play right and left. A lot of those guys are pretty versatile. Sadiq Charles can play guard or tackle. I don't know about Martin or anybody else jumping in at center as backup center. I think you have to have like a Tyler Larson to be familiar with the center position and all that goes with that, because those guys call all the blocking schemes. They make all the adjustments up there. So I think it was tough. Yeah, I think it was tough choices, but I think they got it right. Maybe a Martin instead of Schweitzer, but
Schweitzer.
The way Schweitzer was pulling all those trucks and tires and all that crazy stuff in the offseason, you gotta put Schweitzer on there.
Right.
He's a freak.
He was looking pretty good too, and that's honestly was a tough battle, I think, between him and Flowers. So I think that one kind of a little surprised that Flowers was able to overtake here in the late round, the later part of that preseason. But to be honest, he did great for the team, a couple of years ago. That's why they traded for him back. So center reps from Colin says that Roulier, Larson, Ishmael didn't hear much about Martin at center this year, but I know they tried that in 2019.
What happened to Trev?
I don't know. Trevor just decided up and leave us. Maybe his microphone isn't the only problem he's having.
Where did he go?
So we'll see. We'll bring Trev back here in just a little bit. We're gonna give our last position as Trev Trev, I don't know what you had. Trev disappeared.
What happened? Where did
on
you
us.
go?
I'm practicing my Fitz magic. That's all.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know what's going on.
Hey, how about
now.
how about a
I don't know.
recap? How about a recap real quick for those who?
Why don't we give
who are
one
jumping
more
in?
position and then
All
we'll
right,
do a
one more.
recap because we got
Got it.
one more offensive position.
Okay.
And it's one I have a vested interest in. But Big Doug, don't do me wrong here, because this is the tight end group. We only gave him 3, and if he
can't wait for
only
this.
3.
I need Reyes to make this.
I
for
can't
Dollar,
wait
but
for this. I
we'll-
can't wait.
We'll see
for
what
this.
happens. This is Big Doug here with our Ref the District show.
Big Doug.
All right, this is Big Doug from the Big Douglas Show, and I appreciate the guys from Rep the District for asking me to be a part of this 53-man projection. I was tasked with the tight ends, so here we go. There is little doubt that Logan Thomas, the converted quarterback turned tight end for Virginia Tech, is an ascending talent. I imagine tight end coach Pete Hayner had visions of Greg Olson in his head when he urged the new Washington football team head coach Ron Rivera last year to bring in the free agent tight end Thomas. Once a highly touted tight end in high school, the Hokies asked Logan to switch positions out of necessity. Never looked back from there. Year 2 in the system and a shiny new contract, Thomas should certainly be in line for a boost this year with improved quarterback play. I certainly can see Thomas hitting the 80 reception mark, 815 receiving yards, and I think 10 touchdowns for the big tight end this year. Tight end 2 is fairly equally set as I can tell it. John Bates is a good blocker with great hands. During the draft, Mel Kiper, in fact, said only Pitts had better hands of any of the receivers, not just tight ends, but receivers in the class. A 3-sport star in high school, Bates continues the trend of Washington football teams selecting players due to their RAS score. This is a metric used to test the athleticism of players. 298 out of the last 670, I believe, is where he fits. Super high, 6.7 out of 10. I think he'll be used a lot in those 2 tight end sets that we never really got to see last year because of the poor play from Sprinkle. And while I'm a big fan of Sprinkle and always was, it was obvious that he was never going to get the job done in Washington, and is why he is currently in Dallas. Bates should be an extreme upgrade over Sprinkle, who just never found his footing in DC.
Here we go.
Now comes the tricky part to me. To me, there'll be 3 tight ends on the active roster. So Reyes and Ricky Seals-Jones, the converted wide receiver from Texas A&M, are the ones in line. Now, Seals-Jones has bounced around the league for about the last 10 years. He's what they call a move tight end. More receiver than tight end, which makes sense. To me, that's the problem with Seals-Jones, is that he doesn't offer, wait for it, very much position flex, which we know Ron Rivera covets, particularly when we're talking about the 3rd tight end.
Uh-oh.
Now, to me, it seems odd that you would assume that a young man that has never played organized football before would not be somebody you could stash on the practice squad. But hear me out. With the new way that the practice squad rules are set, players with more accrued time can still be on the practice squad. That, to me, is very important. I have a feeling Ricky Seals-Jones has an easier time clearing waivers and making it to the practice squad than the young, dynamic Reyes at 6'5" and with a 42-inch vertical. You can imagine all the things you can do package-wise for him. Not to mention that Ron Rivera has already said he is the most physical of the tight ends they have on the roster. Very interesting comment from the coach. I think there's a better chance that Ricky Seals-Jones can go to the practice squad and be there and not get plucked by other teams. And even if he did, let's face it, I'm not sure that you've really lost all that much. Whereas with Reyes, the potential is to the moon. So here's my thoughts. I think 3 tight ends make the roster. Thomas, Bates, and Reyes, with Ricky Seals-Jones going to the practice squad. I think a big breakout year for Thomas and a very sizable role for Bates in the 2 tight end set offense. So there you go. This is your man, Big Doug from the Big Douglas Show. You can find us on all YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts from. So thanks again to the Ref the District guys for including me on this really fun and interesting project.
Well, can I just say
Big
before
Doug.
you guys start talking, Big Doug's wrong. Okay.
No.
Proceed.
How is he wrong? He's right. He's absolutely right. No, honestly, so he brought up a very good point about the practice squad. Ricky Seals-Jones is not a guy who I think is going to be highly coveted by people. Reyes, I don't think, honest to goodness, I don't think Reyes is going to get taken by another team, right? Because this is a guy who doesn't have that football experience. So Jesse with us, yeah, love
Jesse. Jesse.
Reyes, he mentioned it. Reyes is the most physical tight end they have.
Cool,
they need someone who's going to move bodies. They don't need to move tight end.
That's what John Bates is there for. He can do that too. He's
John
the best
Bates,
blocking tight end we have.
Well, that's debatable. That's debatable. That's certainly.
Well, that's because Samus Reyes is jacked. Like
he is, and we know that's the reason why a lot of.
He's not even on Madden. See, he's not even on Madden. So why would you even put him on your team?
Right.
He's going to be player number 80 for Washington football team here in another week when they do add him to Madden. They'll eventually get it right. So,
but how many times are we going to call his name to on the field to produce? Like, how many 3 tight end sets are we going to use this year?
How many 3? I don't know. I think it's actually going to be more often than you thought. I mean, they just had the Kansas City, and Mahomes was talking about and geeking out about how people, they're starting to do this kind of play set where they have multiple tight ends. And when you have multiple tight ends that can, stretch the field and multiple tight ends that can block, you're going to really open things
Jones
up.
can stretch the field.
Look, they're not gonna do 3 tight end sets. When they do those jumbo packages, that's Sadiq Charles that's coming in.
So then why are we even keeping him on the 53 when that can be RSJ's spot?
Right. I agree with you, Trev. I'm right with you.
What are you gonna do? Hey, Samus, go in there and block. All I need you to do is just go in there and
He was improving. He's been working the jug machine.
Well, that's cool. He's got a machine throwing to him. A machine.
Hey,
nobody's
are you saying
around him.
Fitzpatrick isn't a machine? I think that guy's
I want to see him get open. I want to see him make a catch. I want to see him catch the ball cleanly. Like, he needs more practice.
Agreed. And he's going to get more practice
on the practice squad
as the third tight end for
Washington. They have their own team
football.
name. It's called the practice squad. They get their own jerseys. They get their own schedule. They get to cool back and watch the game in street clothes and chill, but they're still part of the team because they're in practice squad. He'll be fine.
So you know what?
Colin strongly agrees on the 3 tight ends. I'm not sure if he disagrees with the 3 tight ends that Big Doug picked, or whether or not he thinks there might be a 4th tight end. So we'll have to see.
There might be. Again, we gave him these.
We gave him strict parameters. Yeah, we had to have. In the end, we wanted to actually have 53 people on the roster.
But you know what you said? You know what you said, Nathan, when we were talking about the running backs. You said, and we were talking about Patterson and putting him on the practice squad, and you said people overestimate the talent of the guys that you're putting on practice squad for Washington. But then you just said the exact opposite with Reyes. You said, well, if you try to put him on the practice squad, somebody's going to pick him up.
No, I said that it's unlikely someone's going to pick him up. This guy doesn't have any football experience. No one's going to put him
exactly why he doesn't need to be on the 53.
No one's going to take RCA either.
You just said it.
You have him on the 53 because he's your best blocker. Colin brings up that they used the 3 tight end set twice in the wild card game and got an 11-yard run and a 29-yard pass. It was 10% of the total game's output. They use those 3 tight ends.
John Bates can block if he has to.
Colin always jumps in with the stats, and it makes me feel dumb because he gets really deep in those stats.
He's got great insight. Jesse says if we get down, this is one of Stoner's things. I'm going to jump on you here. This is one of Stoner's things, Jesse. If we're down to the 3rd tight end, we're in trouble. If we're down to the 3rd quarterback, we're in trouble, right?
Yep.
So if we get
to
down
to the 9th offensive lineman.
Yep. So you're going
to if he clears waivers, is that really like, oh my God, we're gonna be that sad about it? Is it because he has a great story? Is that why we're gonna be so sad about it, or is it because he's really that legit?
Because he can develop into a solid tight end is why we're gonna be upset.
Another word which equals practice squad.
What it's why you have him as your 3rd.
We don't have time to develop. We don't have time. We need to win now.
Well, we don't have time to continue arguing over Reyes, who is going to make the Washington football team pod 53-man project here. So he's made that one. Now, let's go ahead and give a recap.
My microphone, so
far so good. And you probably just jinxed yourself.
Right.
Probably just jinxed yourself. All right, let's go ahead and give the Trey Z's in the building. Trey Z, we played we love your video, man. We got to get you on the show sometime. Absolutely.
We got to get all these guys,
we
man.
do.
Yeah,
we really
these guys
need,
are
we
awesome.
really need to get you guys on the schedule. Let's go over a recap of what people who are just joining us.
All right.
What it's come down to. Right?
Very quick. The DMZ Sports, Trey Z there. He did the quarterbacks. Fitz, Heineke, and Allen. Big Doug just did the tight ends, which were Thomas, Bates, and Ricky Seals-Jones.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
He said Ricky
Sorry, he
Seals-Jones.
said
That's what you wanted to hear.
Rio did the 3 running backs. He said Gibson, McKissick, and Patterson, although he was very strong in saying adamant that he's keeping 4 if he was in charge. Declassified did the 7 wide receivers, and they said McLaurin, Brown, Samuel, Cam Sims, Humphreys, AGG, and he's picking Milne over DeAndre Carter to be the 7th and the punt returner.
That's a spicy one.
And the Burgundy zone, the 9 offensive linemen, Charles Leno Jr., Cornelius Lucas, Flowers, Schweitzer, Rouillet, Larson, Sheriff, Sadiq Charles, and Cosme.
Very nice.
There you go. That's it so far. And then now we got the defense and special teams.
Let's go ahead and start with the defensive line here. Is what we're going to start with. This is going to be interesting. And so get your pin out, Stoner, so you can keep track of this.
Ready to go.
What is going on? This is Jesse and John from the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, and we are here to talk about the roster projections, and we have been tasked from Ref to District to do the defensive line. And I have to say it's probably the easiest out of all of the roster projections.
Special teams got to be great.
We have agreed set in stone solid on 7 of them, and I think Stoner and Nate want 9. So let's go through the first 7 that are absolute 1,000% locks. Obviously, you got Chase Young and Montez Sweat, the bookends. You have John Allen, Deron Payne in the middle. And then I guess those are going to be your starters.
Those are your front 4.
Yeah.
It's the identity of our team right there.
Exactly. And then obviously too, these could be starters on 31 other teams in the league.
Troy Apke.
Matt Ioannidis and Tim
John.
Settle. And then we got James Smith Williams. He was brought in to be, the new Ryan Kerrigan, I guess. As far as that goes, we've seen some good play from him. So those 7 right there are definite, no matter what, locks for this defensive line. After that,
I'm not as sold on James Smith Williams as you are, but
no,
for the purposes of this, I'll do it. It could be him or William Bradley King, either way. Somebody's got to back up the defensive ends. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do it. We got to choose somebody out of there to do it. So it could be either or as far as I'm concerned. But I'll go with either one.
I have William Bradley King on the team. That's our number 8 right there.
Well, we got
or
1,
at least
2,
for
3,
me.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys left to choose 2.
Yeah. So we have
throw out the trash first.
All right.
Daniel Wise.
Daniel Wise gone, probably practice squad. He had some good play. We have Gabe Wright.
Bye.
Bunmi
Lawrence.
Bunmi Rotimi.
Hey, you know what? I've heard his name a couple of times this preseason, which is more than you can say for most of the guys that are on the second and third team defensive line.
You
For
make a point,
positive
John.
things. David Bottas made some good plays, and I like him a lot. But and we get an exemption, so he's straight to the practice squad, and that's a good thing.
I think he has shown flashes.
He sacked Lamar Jackson and blocked a field goal.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
There you go right there. All right, so now we have Casey Toohill and Shaka Tony. Toohill was brought in as a free agent, but he's been dealing with a toe injury. It hasn't really
Toohill toe.
The Toohill toe, yeah. He hasn't really played much in the preseason or at all in the preseason, and I think he got hampered when they were in Richmond. So he could be designated to injured reserve.
IR is not locked away this year.
Yeah, exactly.
You can jump him in there.
So we have Shaka Tony.
I think you could slide Tony onto the practice squad.
You
He'll
could
survive there.
if we want to keep 9 defensive linemen, we need another defensive end.
We've got 2 rookies there that we drafted. We put picks in on Tony, and we put picks in on Bradley King. So one of those guys, if not 2 of those guys, get to go on there. But if one of them has to go to the practice squad, I think we could stash Shaka Tony safely.
Yeah.
And
there is people that think that Tony should actually move to linebacker because of his size.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Absolutely.
Wholeheartedly.
So
there are people that
do we
think
have
that
our
Troy
9?
Apke can play football. But
Stop it, John. Stop it, John.
We've got Chase Young. We've got John Allen. We've got Deron Payne. We've got Montez Sweat, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle, William Bradley King, James Smith Williams. I lost count. Is that 8?
Tony.
And Shaka Tony.
Okay.
So as we learned today, I can't count up to 9.
Check us out. We record episodes on Mondays and Fridays now. You can check us out on YouTube or any podcast platform out there. We are the Bleeding Burgundy Podcast. We have some fun on these podcasts, that's for sure. And we like to raise hell, and we have proven from time and time that nobody is safe. Doesn't matter if you're Jason Wright, if you're Joe Theismann, or if you're Jerry Jones, or even Daniel Snyder.
Don't make me come over there. Fuck this team up faster than you can imagine.
Hail to the team.
All right, thanks to the guys out at the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. That was a lot of fun. That was great. I definitely tune in. So they record Mondays and Fridays, as they mentioned. Great guys, great fun that they have. What do you guys think of their D line?
I don't have any beef. Yeah, I don't have any beef with it. I'm ready.
Even Shaka Tony at the end.
I mean, I would probably put William Bradley King in his place instead of.
Well, he's got both of them.
Oh, he does. Okay,
or they got both of them in there. Yeah. The only really one is like Two Hill is really the one where a lot of people think Two Hill's going to make the squad. But he's probably go on IR. He's probably an IR guy. So, other than that, maybe they're going to pick somebody off the waiver wire, but that's not part of this.
That's not part of this exercise. This is part of the cuts. Yeah, that's true. They can keep someone like Shaka Tony on the original roster and then pick up a free agent and then put Shaka Tony on the practice squad. So that is true. That is fair. That is something that is absolutely within their rights to do.
They may have cut Shaka Tony during the course of us talking about it. I mean, there's guys are getting cut.
It's definitely why we wanted to get the show out as quickly as possible before the cuts started coming, and we're like, oh no! But then we're looking at the names, and we're like, oh no, this is people. No one's picking them for the roster. Let's go ahead and move on to the cornerbacks. This is going to be the Washington Football Addicts here with 5 cornerbacks that they get to pick.
Hey, what's going on, Washington Football Addicts and fans of Ref the District? So this is the Washington Football Addicts, Rod, Steve, Dev, and Phil. And we're going to provide our feedback or prediction for the cornerbacks of the Washington football team. So I think that there's a general consensus, I think, of the 4 of us and probably amongst all the fans that William Jackson, the 3rd, and Kendall Fuller are the 2 locks. And then we're going to chat a little bit about cornerbacks 3, 4,
that's interesting.
and 5. So, Phil, I'll kick it to you first. Who is the 3rd cornerback to make the team for the Washington football team?
I think the 3rd corner to make this roster is going to be the rookie Benjamin St.
Juice
from Minnesota. He's impressed in the preseason, impressed in camp. 6'3", long arms, physical corner, can press. And just has a natural knack for staying with receivers. You can't have enough guys like that.
No, definitely. Dude is super long and rangy. Love it. I look at him, and it's obviously way too early to say, hey, Richard Sherman, but I like the way he looks when he plays the game so far. And I think yesterday, Steve, you went to the game. He was actually on the cover of like the little paraphernalia, like the game day booklet.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think he's a lock. So number 3, Phil, you hammered it down. So Dev, kick it next to you, brother. Who do you think is going to be cornerback number 4?
Jimmy Beepin Moreland. That's who's going to
People's Corner.
Nice.
People's Corner.
People's Corner.
Yeah, the People's Corner.
Jimmy.
I think Jimmy's the guy. He plays inside, slot corner, which I guess you could technically push Fuller into that role and have Juice play outside. But I'm going to go as Moreland as the fourth corner on the team.
Okay.
Or the third, however you look at it.
Yeah, of course. So it's just at least fourth for this pod so far. So that's our four. So we got William Jackson, Kendall Fuller's the locks, Benjamin St. Juste, the rookie, People's Corner, Jimmy Moreland. So, Steve, who is number 5?
Steve.
Well, a few minutes ago, I would have told you differently, but since I've been informed that my man, Dev's man, Troy Apke is in potentially moved the corner, I'm going to say Apke.
Yeah!
That dude is Ray Daddy.
What are you doing?
Anywhere. So yeah, Troy Apke would be the 5th corner. These other guys, I don't, Danny Johnson, Cole, Luke by McCain,
Torrey
McTire, Robert Stevens, Lyndon
Torrey
Stevens.
McTire, though, for sure.
I don't think they've done enough to make the 5th. So
Torrey
go with Troy Apke.
Damn, Troy Apke. Now that's a huge pick because obviously we know that Apke has the speed, but his hips have been tight. He's been really weird. But like Dev said before we hit record on this, he's prominent in special teams. He can play corner. He can play safety if they have to move him there. So there's versatility, and that will get you on a team. Now I know we said 5, but if it's not Apke, I'm going to jump in here now, and I'm going to say, hey, if Apke isn't the 5th guy, I really did like the play of Torrey McTire this preseason. I think he's played very well. He's been part of some highlights, but Devin also alluded to earlier before he hit record, he has a groin injury, and that may get him stashed in the IR. So that may be the way that we keep 6 instead of 5, but that 6th cornerback goes to the IR for the start of the season. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard from the Washington Football Axe how we feel. I'll give the rundown again. We got William Jackson III. He's a lock. Kendall Fuller. He's a lock. Benjamin St. Juste. He's a lock. Jimmy Moreland. He's a lock. And then Troy Apke and Torrey McTire. That's where we're kind of waver on the line because you can kind of go either way with both of those. But that means if those are the 5 and or 6, Danny Johnson, he's out. Daryl Roberts is out. And Lyndon Stevens is out. So that's what you hear from the Addicts. Hopefully it comes true. And thanks to Ref the District for allowing us to be part of this cross podcast.
Hey, thanks, Washington Football Addicts, for joining us. That's awesome. Hey, I'm not a big fan of Apke, but that was some well thought out plans there. Shocked to kind of hear the People's Corner be, one of those ones that was up high. I'm big on him, but I think that he's one of those players who might be a surprise cut for tomorrow. But they bring up the hamstring injury for Torrey McTire. Do you think IR might be an option?
I thought it was a concussion.
I thought it was a concussion too.
Concussion?
Yeah, it was a. I mean, he was in concussion protocol after the game or during the game when he went out. So that's what but it could be another injury as well that we don't know about. But if you do put him on IR, don't you already have to automatically miss 3 games minimum? So that's a kind of a scary thing. But I think they probably got it right.
I saw that, Steven.
McTire's probably going to go on IR, and Trapke's going to get that last spot. And you know what?
Trapke season.
You never, ever
don't want to see him
play. To see him play other than special teams. And that's how he's winning the job. He's winning the job because he excels at special teams. Not because he's a good corner. Right.
Hey.
Right. And that's why I think guys like Cam Sims and Peyton Barber are making the team because they're versatile.
Cam Sims is not versatile.
He is. He plays on all the teams.
He plays on teams.
All the teams.
He's not.
Speaking of teams, Danny Johnson being left off.
Yeah.
He's gone, bro. We've seen enough.
Seen enough? I mean, he's right now he's the go-to for the kick returner. Are we gonna see the return of Rock Cartwright? Patterson return kicks.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Patterson could be a Darren Sproles or Rock Cartwright, but not Danny Johnson.
And there goes Colin. Here comes Colin again to come in here and
Mr. Stats.
Make me feel dumb.
Colin,
but he's right.
We appreciate you, man. He's absolutely right. So if you're placed on IR before the cut day, you have to stay on IR the whole year.
So they would have to cut him and then bring him back and then put him on IR. I see. Which I don't think anybody, like we talked about before, I don't think anybody's knocking down Washington's door to get McTire. As much as we love him, he's not wanted.
Yeah,
by
check
all
out
these
our
other
interview on our YouTube page with his dad, Tim
What's up,
McCain.
Tim?
You can catch that. We really like him as a player, so we're pulling for him.
Yep.
But it might.
And he
it might
balled
not be
out
in the
before
cards.
his concussion.
He did.
He was balling.
He was.
Even on the play that he had a concussion, he was doing his job.
He ran with the ones in Cincinnati. So
Yeah. He's a good player. He's going to stick around for a while.
But it is trap key season.
Oh, goodness. So Washington Football Addicts chimed in with it's the COVID rules from last year. So IR no matter the day and return baby. So once they are put on IR after the cuts, they can come back anytime during the season, unlike before where it was either IR for the whole season or you can designate the one person to come back after like 8 weeks.
6 or 8.
So, yeah. So let's move on to the safeties. This is from our friends over at the Tay and Todd podcast.
This is Todd from the Tay and Todd podcast. 5 safeties that I think will make the roster, that I want to make the roster. Number 1, Cameron Curl. That's obvious. He'll play free. He'll play strong. He'll do it all. Buffalo nickel.
Landon first.
He'll do it all. Number 2, Landon Collins. The contract, but also the leadership, right? I think he can have a bounce back year. I don't know if he'll be on the team longer than this year, but I think he's definitely going to be back. He's going to be on the roster, and he's going to play a lot. Number 3, Bobby McCain. I think you'll see a lot of that. 3 of them, that combination, McCain, Curl, and Collins. I think those will be their 3 starting safeties, and you'll see them rotate in and out. McCain more as a single high, Collins and Curl more as down in the box. But I think that's where we'll start at with the first 3. 4, I'm going to go with the Shazer Everett, just because of that experience. He's shown that he can play and that he can play well. And he can play free safety, I think consistently well. He's no Troy Apke, and he comes up and he'll hit guys. He's a pretty consistent tackler. I think he's a great depth piece. And then number 5, not Derek Forrest. I think Forrest is going to end up on the practice squad. I will say Jeremy Reeves. I just think they really like him. He got some playing time last year, and so I think they're going to continue to give him opportunities. Forrest will be on the practice squad. Injuries happen, then maybe he'll get called up, but I don't think he's ready to be on the field during a regular season game just yet. Reeves has that experience, so those are my 5. Curl, Collins, McCain, Everett, and Reeves.
I hope he wasn't doing that while driving. That's pretty dangerous.
I was thinking he was the passenger because he didn't look up the whole time that car was moving.
My man was
driving.
Worried. It's like, Bobby McCain's like, it's like, okay.
I like Reeves. I hope he does make it. He's a South Alabama guy, and we have a connection to South Alabama with our guy Kwame Lewis. So I hope he makes it. And Curl, I'm in love with Cameron Curl.
You can tell he loved him. He listed him first over Landon Collins. He's like, first, Cam Curl's got to make the team over Landon Collins, which is not really surprising because we District Diamond from last year. Everyone loves Cam Curl. Landon Collins.
I'm just afraid. I'm afraid of a sophomore slump from Cam Curl. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I am really kind of scared of that just because of where we got him last year and how he shined so much last year during COVID on a defensive backfield that wasn't as packed as it is this year. I just hope he doesn't go through a sophomore slump. You know what I mean?
We've seen that with some of the late round players before that played that. Rambo comes to mind, where flashed as a rookie. Macari Rambo. Everyone thought, hey, this guy's going to be a stud, and then completely fell off after his
Macho Harris. We can keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not saying he's not bad. He's definitely a stud. I just hope he continues to grow.
Yep.
And doesn't retreat.
So we're going to move on here.
Where are we going?
Now it's a little harder for me to tell who's who on this little map.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pick one. Yeah. Let's. I wanted to move
because they're both gray.
They're
I see. Chris Horton. Steve Lynn brings up Chris Horton. That's the guy.
Oh yes.
I always try to think of.
Dreads. Hard hitter, but that's it.
Yeah, it was amazing. He was like about to go to the Pro Bowl, and then he was just terrible after that. Yeah, I remember that. I was trying to think of that. I was trying to think of Chris Horton. That was probably that was probably 10 years ago. Maybe not quite that long ago, but it was a while ago.
It could well be that far.
It might have been 10 years ago.
All right, let's move on to our next position group here.
Everybody, it's Corey from all the Warpath, aka Sanchez 405. And our friends from Ref the District asked me to take a look at the linebacker spot and which 6 guys I thought were going to make the final 53-man roster and avoid the Grim Reaper of cut day. And when you look at it, 3 of these guys did not show up. They were saved and had a chance to relax and drank some foo-foo drinks on the sideline against Baltimore, and then the other 3 were starters there. We take a look at it, starting out with Jamin Davis, the rookie out of Kentucky. He's the first selection for the Burgundy and Gold in this past spring's draft. And, of course, he was going to make the roster. And no doubt about it. We saw him struggle in New England. Seemed like he got back together a little bit against Cincinnati. Still a long way to go, I believe, there. But we got to remember, this is a guy who did keep Kyle Pitts in check. Can't wait for that Atlanta game. Just saying. But looking forward to seeing him, the young man out of Kentucky. We move on to a guy, you love him, you hate him, you're not really mad on him. John Bosig. Yes, we know he avoids coverage like politicians avoid straight answers, but yet and still, the man is still here, elder statesman, been in the league since 2013, has been in Washington since 2019, and the guy led the team in tackles, in combined tackles last year. He had 100-plus tackles his first year in Washington, and he said, let the good times roll on. 2 sacks and 2 wins against Philadelphia, and then he also had a clinching interception against the Steelers. And how could we forget? He's also the man who made Andy Dalton poop himself there. So you look at that, I think that's enough to keep him going here. But in all seriousness, his veteran leadership there. Hopefully he can get a little bit better in coverage, but maybe Jamin Davis don't want to learn that from him. So we move on to double nickel, the man who has flowing locks like Samson from biblical times. Yes, Cole Holcomb, the guy who had a great camp, looked good, missed a few games last year, missed about a quarter of the season. He is back. He had 100 tackles his rookie year when he came with the then Redskins out of UNC. North Carolina Tar Heel there. And
yes, sir.
We did see him with the green dot a couple of times. Maybe he's calling plays out there. So maybe we may see him at Mike linebacker a little bit more. But Cole Holcomb looking for a strong season. I think we get that out of him. Of course, he is going to make this squad. Now you look at the other 3 here. These guys were the starters against against Baltimore. First of all, a draft pick from last year, Colleek Hudson, a.k.a. Hitman. I liked him coming out of the draft last year. I think he did a lot of good things for Jim Harbaugh up there at the with the Wolverines on special teams. Now he brings that to Washington. I think there's a lot of things Jack Del Rio can do with him in this offense as well. So we'll see there. I think he was at the middle linebacker spot. So we'll see what Colleek can do. He led the team in special team tackles. I think he had 8 of those. So there's a plus as well. You move over. Another guy who was here last year, he's actually with Ron Rivera in Carolina. Last 2 guys were as well. Jordan Kanashik. I think I said that right. And he, out of Cal. He was here last year. Played a lot of special teams. Number 59, he goes out there, and he had 10 tackles against Baltimore. Bright spot, I guess, if you can call it. And this guy, he'll make the roster. I do believe that. He is a grinder, and he will survive as well. A guy also who was with them in Carolina, David Mayo. Didn't realize he was in the league since 2015. But David Mayo, number 51, came from New York. He's had some starter experience in the league. He was actually even on that Super Bowl team that for the Panthers. So I think he will make the team as well. These are your 6 linebackers for the Washington football team. Jamin Davis. John, I love to dodge coverage. Bostic. Cole flowing locks. Holcomb. The hitman Colleek Hudson. Jordan Kanasic. And David, let's spread it like mayo. As always, they say on my channel, love, peace, and hell. Appreciate y'all. Let's go Burgundy and Gold.
Nice.
Thanks, Corey.
It.
That's on
Corey
the Corey from On the Warpath. Excellent breakdown for it. Linebackers, after you get those first three, it's a drop off.
Hey,
it's
but
scary.
he nailed it. Of all the ones that were left, those are probably the best three available to make the 53 that we have, and that's not saying a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna see a couple of those guys come week 1.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a position Washington's going to be picking players up off.
KJ Wright.
Listen,
Get KJ Wright on the
there's
phone.
31 other teams that haven't signed KJ Wright either. There's something going on there.
He's sitting there.
It's not just Washington.
I don't think any other team has a problem with linebackers like us.
Well,
that's probably why they're not calling him.
Okay, but KJ Wright, maybe he doesn't want to play anymore. Maybe he's just like, I'm done. I don't want to play.
I think it's a very similar situation to he's been posting workout videos. Washington cut him last year. Why am I blanking on his name?
Ferrari Foster.
Yeah, Foster, exactly.
Ruben Foster. Bring him back.
I think it's
give him a chance.
I think it's another situation where it's just like there was an injury and now he's on the sidelines and you're just like he's lost a step. You know, you don't pay people for that unless you're in dire need. You're gonna have players that have you have a little bit of loyalty. So that ends our defensive set, if I'm correct.
Yep. We just got special teams.
Just special teams coming right here.
That's gonna be tough.
Guys, this is Josh Taylor from the Burgundy Yard Podcast, here to bring you the special teams position group. Now, when I first got this, I was like, oh man, special teams is going to be so boring to talk about. But joke's on you, special teams was one of the more talked about position groups in preseason, and for a good reason. Now, of course, we have Tressway, the GOAT, best punter in the league, should be in the high 90s on Madden. But anyways, I'm looking forward to everything he's going to do this season, dropping dimes right within the 10-yard line all season long. But all the attention's on Cameron Cheeseman and, of course, Dustin Hopkins. Now, Cheeseman comes in, filling Sunburst, huge. I mean, how do you even come in and fill the shoes? Everything he did on the field, off the field, and you go out and you draft this guy. Yes, we draft a long snapper. That kind of tells you how important this position really is. Yep. And Cameron Cheeseman, one of the top long snappers going back to before he was in Michigan, one of the top at his position in high school. Same with Fletcher at Alabama. Those were the top two guys coming into the draft. Both were drafted pretty close together too. And I think that it just honestly takes time being a long snapper. And Ron's talked about it. It's all about in sync. You have the snap, you have the hold, you have the kick. You have to get used to everything. It's like the three just need to go on a retreat to the Bahamas and spend some time together, just snapping balls. And honestly, it just takes reps. That's all you need. Just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Muscle memorization, getting used to each other. Now, Dustin Hopkins. Been here for a long time. And honestly, the stats back up that he's been a successful kicker for so long. You don't remember every good kick. But yes, you remember the bad kicks, and rightfully so. You're supposed to be able to make almost every kick reasonably to a certain distance. Now, obviously, last year cost some games. Those are the big ones you can't do. You can't have that in the middle of the season. That's the ones that we're thinking about. We don't want to repeat history. But it's not easy just to sign a random kicker and have him come in and just hope things work out. Things can get more worse than they can get better. And I promise you that. Ask teams like Chicago. It's really hard to bring in a random kicker, especially at this point in the season. We've seen Hopkins make the big kicks. We've seen him make the long ones, the 50, 55-yarders. We've seen it. We just need him to clean up and really learn from those mistakes. Get in sync with the new guys. I have faith in him. Ron has faith in him. Now, if he starts missing in the middle of the season, costing his big games, obviously it's something that you really think about. But I just want fans to realize it is not easy just bringing in a new kicker and say, oh, anyone can do this. Other teams have these guys. Yes, but it's not like those guys are just walking the streets waiting for a job. So give it time. We'll see how everything pans out. But Ron's sticking behind him. He said he's not bringing any kickers in right now. And rightfully so. We're 2 weeks away from week 1. So I'm riding with special Dustin Hopkins. Let's see what he does this season.
All right, that's Josh from the Burgundy Network, rounding out our 53 with what we all knew was probably the most obvious for the 3 special teams positions. But I was kind of really hoping, Josh, you were going to do us a solid and cut D-Hop and just be like, and just like have some random name.
Joey Sly.
So
he was the kicker in Panthers.
Josh brings up a good point. These guys, you can't just bring them in and expect them to do better.
No, you can't. But this is Dustin Hopkins' MO. Even with the greatest long snapper in the NFL, with Nick Sundberg, he was missing easy kicks. I could understand if all of his kicks or most of his kicks were like, I don't know, long kicks, and he was 50%. But like, he can't make distance kicks. And so that's why hopefully our offense can get us in field goal range that's 40 yards or below, like I said, so he can make it. Because if we get stuck behind that 40 yards or more, man, we're not making – I mean, I've hated him since London. We tied the Bengals in London.
Because of those missed kicks, yeah.
And that was an easy kick, too, if I remember. It was like
that's
30
what I'm
something,
saying.
something like that.
It's just kind of it's embarrassing.
So we bring in Cheeseburg. We mentioned Nick Sundberg was big shoes to fill. We also talked a lot about Madden. Does anyone remember Nick Sundberg and Madden? This is like a decade ago. This is when he was early. They gave him like an awareness rating that was super low, and so like that became the topic because he was just like that awareness rating is so low. He's like, I don't know where my how to tie my shoes type deal.
I wonder why he was cut. I honestly wonder why he was cut.
He had an injury. He
he's
played
got a
through
back
an injury
injury.
this last season, and so you got 10 years in the league, and you can't really risk that timing, right? So Josh brought that up. You've got to get those reps in, and if Nick goes down in the middle of season, you have to replace your long snapper in the middle of season, as they did actually, because they did actually have a substitute for Nick this last season.
How long is Dustin Hopkins' leash then? Right now, he's got to be on a short leash.
Short-ish. Short-ish? No, I don't think it's short. I don't think it's a long leash either.
No, it's got to be short.
It really all
kicks game 1.
Well, I mean, it really all depends on the importance of the kicks that he misses. So if he goes 1 for 3 against LA and they win 27-20, you're not going to worry about it. But if he misses,
you're going to wait till he loses you games, is what you're.
Well, you're going to wait till it has an effect on the wins and losses, absolutely, because otherwise he's inconsequential to the wins and losses. But I just don't. I've been saying all along, I don't think they're going to replace him unless he just throws up all over himself, and I don't see that happening. He's not going to be that guy. He's not terrible. He's not great. But he's not.
Josh brought up the stats. If you look at the stats, there's a reason why he's on here. Washington Football Addicts talking about how he is untouchable to Ron.
He is.
I mean, he might be.
At some point.
I think honestly, it's going to take Stoner, to your point there. It's going to take a couple missed field goals that lose the game.
Consequential.
And they have to be. They can't be 50 yarders or even 45 yarders. We're talking a missed 36-yard field goal,
right?
And the team loses. That's when Ron's going to be like, "Hey, it's time to bring in some competition."
Yeah. He should already be like that, but whatever.
It's hard. We'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and give a recap of the defense and special teams. I'll do special teams as he grabs the board for the defense. Josh from the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, not Bleeding Burgundy, sorry, the Burgundy Network. He gave us Tressway, D-Hop, and Cheeseman, and gave us some good information on why it's going to be that.
Oh, wait. Who would be the kick returner and punt returner in that special teams?
No, we included that as the wide receiver, the seventh wide receiver. Dax Milne is. We didn't pick out of these players. I guess Patterson's returning kicks, right? Because
correct.
Rio put him on the
that's
roster.
right. And Milne,
that's fine. We'll take
Milne
that.
is the punt returner.
Yeah,
we'll take that. I'm cool with that.
All right.
So defensive linemen as from Bleeding Burgundy, they've got, of course, Young, Sweat, Allen, Payne. We all know that. Ioannidis and Settle for sure. Those are pretty much all locks. And then they've got James Smith, William Bradley King, and Shaka Toney. Really, the only shocker there would probably be Tuhill not making it, but he could be a practice squad / injured reserve guy. Corey Sanchez for On the Warpath. He had the linebackers. He's got Davis, Bosig, and Holcomb. And then he's got Hudson, Mayo, and we can't say his last name.
Jordan.
Right. So for the cornerbacks from the Washington Football Addicts, they have William Jackson III, Fuller, St. Juice, the People's Corner, Jimmy Moreland, and Trap Key Season.
Yes, sir.
And then the safeties from Tay and Todd. Todd came on and gave the safeties. Cameron Curl, Landon Collins, Bobby McCain, DeShazer Everett, and Jeremy Reeves. And that's everything, right? Yeah.
That's it. That was the defense. We already recapped the offense earlier. Hey, guys, this was a fun show as far as the 53-man roster. We want to give a big shout-out to all the pods who joined us to help put this together. So happy to have you guys along for the ride. Definitely need to get you on for shows separately.
It came out better. It came out way better than even I had hoped. It was a project, like we talked about at the beginning, that Ellie from Declassified suggested to us, and we ran with it. And as we were trying to put this all together, we were like, well, I hope it all comes together. And it did. It came out beautifully, and everybody had great videos. Thanks so much to all those guys who put this together for this project. A lot of fun. It
was a lot of fun. And my microphone stayed plugged in for the last.
There we go. Hey, it's working.
happened?
I'm glad you're still replacing it,
bro.
though.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I'll be here tomorrow. I cannot wait. I got a mic for sale if anybody wants a mic for sale.
It works half the time. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it works.
You're not supposed to say
Yeah,
that.
it does. No.
I tell you what, if you enjoyed today's show, go ahead and make sure that you subscribe to our channel on YouTube, or you can follow us on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. Don't post as much there, but if that's where you like watching your content, you can find us Ref the District on each of those platforms. We're also on all of your favorite podcast platforms, so you can catch us there as well, whether or not it be Apple, Google, or Spotify, or even Amazon. If you're on Apple, go ahead and make sure that you give us a rating and a review. That'll help other people find our content as well. And for Ref the District, I'm Nathan. He's the Stoner, and that's Trev, who did, in fact, join us there at the tail end, and we appreciate him jumping on and then taking off and then jumping on. It added some dynamics to the show. And we stream live every Thursday at 7 p.m., so you can catch us on Thursday, where we'll be talking more Washington football team and some other DC sports. And until next time, be a fan.
We love Washington, and we some die-hard fans. Yeah, we are. You know we keep it on 10. Let's talk about the offense. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And they gifted. We are Nathan